Thank you everyone for having me here. And I would like first to have the introduction first. So can we start with Anurag?
Yeah. Hi everyone. This is Anurag Goyal. I am heading the cybersecurity for Red Doors. So Red Doors is a hospitality company. They have their hotels in Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and multiple other countries. And they're fastly growing. So I take care of their global cybersecurities as the head. And I'm honored to have a place in between all the legal entities here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Srijit Mukherjee. I am the General Counsel for Node4 Limited. It's a UK-based IT company owned by private equity partners. And happy to be a part of this panel, and let's try to be a lot interactive and not just a monologue kind of a thing here. And let's make it an interactive session. Thank you.
Yes, Manoj.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Manoj Gujran. I am a management consultant and advisor, mainly into the legal and compliance space, catering to financial sector or financial services entities. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Jyothe. I'm the General Counsel, Senior Vice President of Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. I oversee the legal affairs of all fashion businesses that come under ABFRL, and that means the ethnic businesses, the lifestyle brands, departmental stores, international brands, and even the digital businesses too. Thank you.
And myself, Rajiv Malik from LG Electronics. I am handling all the legal work there, especially the manufacturing part. Right. And to begin with the panel, we already know the topic of this panel, and this is basically the cyber security and the data breaches. And we are always talking about these days the Viksit Bharat in 2047. But how can we become Viksit when we are not Surakshit, right? So we also need to be Surakshit Bharat, right? That's the concept here. And India, basically, we people are we are talking and leaking information ourselves. For example, if I'm going to the Google map, I'm giving all the information to that app also, right? So we are basically the data vomiting country also. So that is the issue. And cyber breaches, it's just a matter of time when it's going to affect us. It's not that who is going to affect first, but it's everybody is going to affect by these things. And if we go even in the past, in the Mahabharata and in the Ramayana time also, we know that how Vibhishan has acted, right? जिसमें बोलते हैं कि insider threats, घर का भेदी लंका ढाए, right? In the Mahabharata also, actually Lord Krishna has very beautifully used certain information about the Duryodhana, and that's why the war was won. So it is basically it's in Indian history also, right? So although now we're coming to Jyothe first. Now we are talking about the digital transformation, right? So what do you think, how we can strike the right balance between the innovation and strong data governance?
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. But before that, I think let me say thanks to the organizers for having me here. And then I would like to start with some interesting data, just to kind of let you know how important is data today. Very recently, Meta acquired 49% investments in a data company called Scale AI. And the valuation of the Scale AI was about $29 billion. So, and then coming to the global market size of big data today, it was about $225 billion last year, but it's expected to reach about $574 billion just in about 6 to 7 years, or even less than that. Well, that really underscores the importance of data, as much as it is important also to have great computation technologies, right? Now, but when it comes to data governance, what are we talking about? Basically, it's about 4 things, the 4 pillars of data governance. So basically, it is ensuring data quality, And then is this data stewardship, meaning having roles and responsibilities within the organization. Then data protection and management, right? But easier said than done. It's really challenging when you are driving data governance, because today the organizations, most of the organizations are sitting on huge piles of data, but again the data are stored in multiple environments. That makes it extremely difficult also to drive a single data governance kind of a policy. But yeah, there are tech challenges, like even the basic challenges, like, the leadership may not really believe in, you may not have a team for that, budget constraint, resource constraint. Then apart from that, technical challenges like, as I said, data silos, meaning data in multiple environments, and then you may not have control over them, visibility may be the issue, and things like that. So these are the broad challenges when it comes to data governance. But you can definitely address them. That is where the in-house legal plays a prominent role, and we need to. And even today we call them as even the data controller's office, DCO's office in many organizations. Not necessarily it is legal, it could be a cross-functional leadership team. So what do they do? Like, basically they are driving governance as an enabler, but not as an obstructive mechanism. And they are trying to get the buy-ins of the leadership by showing, how with good governance you are able to, reduce the number of breaches or expedite, data analytics cycles and things like that. And then having appropriate tools, like especially good tools, will also help us expedite and bring in efficiency. But with all this, I would say, since you asked me about the emerging technologies, especially the AI, and AI is actually helping data governance. In fact, if you look at it from data classification, predictive analytics, that really, enhances the efficiency of data governance mechanism, because data classification is the most important thing, and that's where AI, with its impressive speed or computation, can do really wonders there. But it actually requires, I would say, a cross-functional collaboration, not just legal, to drive data governance. So I think emerging technologies are both opportunities and also they pose challenges. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, sure. So you have rightly mentioned that the challenges are there, especially with the advent of AI and the quantum technologies also.
Yes.
Right. In fact, the main challenge is the organizations are not aware where the data is. So data discovery is one of the most important thing initially at the initial level, and then there is need to understand that not only the legal, not only the IT, and not only the other HR person can handle all these things. It's the cross-functional which can be handled here. And then of course the insider threats, which I have already told, that they're all there. So ghar ka bhedi lanka dhai, to Anurag, I have to come to you how to handle. I am not saying you are the yes, you are ethical hacker, but right. So what you have to tell us the practical ways how to handle ghar ka bhedi, right? And insider threats, especially which organizations are facing, it's a big challenge. And also some give highlights on the human errors which can be done. It can be done by anyone.
So this is one of the most crucial topics, I think, which every single country which is having cyber laws also, they are targeting, because with all the layers of security present these days. So if you look at the big companies, even Indian companies like GAIL or IOCL or any of the big PSUs, which are lakhs of crores, or if you look at any of the big companies of the world, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, any of the companies, they have all gone through a breach. One common factor in all of them being breached is this insider threat. You always find people which are there in your organization and they can be your people, or they can be the people's laptop which were breached and which became a pivot which was used by the other people, that they could reach your servers or databases. So, and it is the Gartner's report that it takes approximately 200 days on an average for any organization around the world to detect that there is a person sitting in your organization. So that means more than 6 months. It is a generic data for all the breaches that have happened in the past. So 200 days a person is sitting in your system and you don't know about that. How would you rectify it? So that it's that huge. Whenever it comes to that separate layer, and it is not being prevented by your antiviruses or your firewalls or any other systems that you have. The Uber breach which happened, the person came on the user system, he searched, this person is using this antivirus, how do I switch it down? Google gave him the first command, he used it and he switched it down, and he was able to breach that system. It is that simple. So, and when we talk about artificial intelligence, yes, it is coming up with more and more tools. These are the weapons that we are using for attacking as well as for defense. So, coming to the security side of things, there are always, the first line of defense is your people itself. If you have a basic check, if the people knows the basic securities in place, what to do, what happens when, that is the very basic check. If I talk about the very basic check in the audience over here, if I ask you that, I tell you that there is a system, you are using a system, and you are in your company, and you detect that your files are started being encrypted. There's a virus which is spreading in your system. You see that you are no more able to access those files. It is continuously spreading in your system. Your laptop is about to be gone. What would you do? Or there is a physical system, not a laptop, but a physical system, the desktop computer. If you have that and the virus is spreading over there, what would you do? The very first step. I think who all will say that I will just go ahead and switch down the system?
I think everyone.
I think everyone. You will just go and switch down the system? That is not to be done. It is against cybersecurity. Yes, but why not switch it down? Isolating is, it's okay. You can switch it down. It will be disconnected from the network. Why not switch it down?
That's how we are trained in the organization.
That's a flaw in the training. So if you switch it down, you basically lose the memory of that system, the RAM that you call it. It gets wiped out. The forensic experts, when they come to the system, they will not know how the breach happened. They will never be able to recover it. The very first thing we train in our organization is never to switch down any of the systems. If you think it is breached, just cut the network. I am okay that you cut the network for the whole organization. Let everyone use their own phones to connect to their system. But do not give that system the network access. That's where the first line of defense enters.
Manoj, can you, just adding on here only, can you give some legal strategies how to handle these kind of things? And additionally, especially from the DPDP Act, there are certain blind spots are there. So would you like to comment on these both parts?
Yeah, so we all of us have now been very much accustomed about the new act and the draft rules. I don't know how many how many years it will take for that to get implemented, but I think at least in-house teams are the information security team along with the legal and compliance departments. I think they are getting ready. So the blind spots that what I am seeing is that see, the government and their agencies are kept out in the name of national interest. That is the first thing. Then you have the data protection board. So I'm starting from the government. So data protection board, which is not independent, is what I see, and it's the only board that we will have once the rules are also notified. So if the number of cases with the kind of digital presence or digital usage that we have in our country, I don't know how those cases will be handled by one board. So that is one gap that I am seeing. Then you have no timelines mentioned for grievance addressal or accessing the customer's data or erasing the customer data. There is no deadline that is mentioned in the act, so I think that has to be there. Then I think the act is mainly, or rule is mainly focusing on data processing and not data privacy or data protection. I'm not seeing it more processing is what is being mentioned all over the act and the rules. And then see how to strengthen. So these are few points. If I keep on talking, I think it will be endless. There are a lot of gaps. Of course, the draft rules are out for consultation. People will have to give their views. I think every one of us need to give their inputs on the draft rules, because this is what is going to help us in the future. This is the only act and rule that we have for to safeguard our data, which is the new oil, is what people say. Of course, within the corporate system, the corporate setup, what we can do is that we should do a gap assessment. That is the first and foremost that should be started by any entity. Then, of course, second biggest thing is the cyber insurance policy. When we take the cyber insurance policy, a detailed discussion needs to be done with the insurer. This has to be done post gap assessment, because we need to know what are our vulnerabilities, what are the gaps that we have, and then only we can have a robust policy which can safeguard if there is any incident. Preventive steps are a must. Training is the most important aspect here, and the technology team has to be strong, has to be receptive, has to be proactive. We use these words in the organization, but I'm personally not seeing these being taken very seriously. Breach hoga to dekha jayega, incident hoga to dekha jayega. And the one thing that you just mentioned about Ghar Ka Bedi, I think we should have official Ghar Ka Bedi within the organization who officially hacks the system before an outsider does it. I think that has to be done, I think, every quarter. Whatever new apps is being adopted, whatever new developments are carried out, digitally every organization is changing, transforming and evolving every month. I think before any new system goes live, वो घर का विधि को काम पे लगाना बहुत ज़रूरी है, so that it is checked and hacked internally, so that we know the vulnerabilities and it is plugged before it goes live. I think that is how we
very correctly said. That's why I will again go back to the Anurag only on this point. So because he's talking about the ethical hacking, right? And in this panel also we are already having an ethical hacker with us. और देखो अब हो ही गया, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हमारे पैनल में भी लीगल पैनल के अंदर भी एथिकल हैकर है.
What I want him to speak about is, सबको पता है रेड टीमिंग, सबको पता है वीएपीटी, राइट? ये सब थोड़ा हटके कुछ बताओ,
कुछ नया बताओ,
करना चाहिए सब. Let us not
कुछ नया सुनने को हम
टिक बॉक्स और चेकलिस्ट फिल करने वाला एक्टिविटी ना करके, what is the real thing that we need to ensure within an entity?
Yes, Anurag, please.
So I come from an organization. So to give a little bit. So I come from an organization which went through a breach. So I was the first person that joined there after the breach had happened. So I joined there. So a similar question floated that, Anurag, we have gone through a breach. We have paid a lot of money already to the government and to the individuals and to the negotiators and everyone. What should be the first things that we should look at? I said, first look at your surface, your footprint. It takes us, just for an attacker, it takes us hardly half an hour to take out your complete footprint. That means all the servers, all the applications, every employee's email address, every single information that is there on the internet, that is your footprint. The very first thing is to secure that, because that is easily accessible. There are automated tools, there are ways I can fetch anyone's information, and along with that, I can, if I'm targeting someone, let's say our host Rajiv sir, let's say I'm targeting him. I want to hack into LG, or I want to target Rajiv sir. Okay, what is my approach towards it? The very first thing is I will drill down all the email addresses, and I will also get the notation of how the emails are drafted. it is Rajiv.Malik, or it is Rajiv@LG, it is Rajiv@something else, I would get the notations of complete email addresses that are formed. And since he's present in the organization from 22 years, I know that he would have an employee ID which would be belonging to a very initial zone. So anywhere I'm finding an employee ID, I can replicate, I can change the numbers and find some other employee IDs as well. So that is the first area. The next thing, the best part about dark web and the securities over there is, you can utilize those email IDs and search where those email IDs are registered. I can just put in your email address and check your personal email address, as well as all the places where your personal or public information is listed, anywhere you have registered, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Instagram. Even if you use your office email address to register on Instagram, I can note it down. And the third thing, which we call as password spray attacks, is I can take out the last breached passwords that he had. Mostly, we all are working in the organizations. We all know that there is a password which you have to change after 90 days or 60 days, every 60 or 90 days. So what you start to do, you start with, I'm going to home @123. I'm going to home 1234, 12345, or 1236. So you keep on incrementing because you can't remember those passwords. It is practically insane that you can't remember passwords for 300 applications that you are using. What gives me an edge is, I can also do the same for you when I'm hacking that. I can keep on incrementing that. And
Anurag, I changed the special words in between actually, so double hash.
Even if you're changing the special characters, there are only a few of them. I would note that. So every single breach, recently, just this week only, one of my friends, actually my company's person, his personal account was breached. When there was a breach of Twitter in 2024, in which his Gmail password, the person who had hacked his Gmail account, his password of Gmail account was same that he used on the Twitter account. Twitter breach happened in 2024. He used his password in 2025 July, and it was still working. He was there in the system. He compromised all of his applications, all the phone applications, because as soon as you're getting on Gmail, everything is linked on that. So perimeter, as soon as you are taking down all the perimeter, you can get inside any of the systems. It is just a piece of cake after that. So the first pivot is always the hardest part, but as soon as you have that first pivot, moving and jumping around the systems, going to other people, from one person to another, it is just a piece of cake. So I think that's the perimeter layer, that if I'm going to an organization.
Yeah, it sounds scary, yes. So it's scary. तो अभी तो और स्कैरी होगा धीरे धीरे टाइम के साथ.
नहीं, हम सबका डेटा वैसे भी डार्क वेब पे अवेलेबल है, ये भी बताया था. सबका इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगा.
तो Srijit, you are working in a global network, right? Global company. So what is your point of view on the DPDP Act and the GDPR? What do you see कि GDPR को ही benchmark करना चाहिए कि हमारा DPDP Act भी sufficient है?
Thanks, Rajiv. Before I delve into the response, I mean, a brief disclaimer that I need to give. The views are personal and does not endorse my organization's views. So kindly bear with that.
So copy and paste for all.
Yes. So this question goes to the heart of how organizations want to position themselves in a global digitally driven economy. Let's first acknowledge what DPDPA is actually and what it is trying to achieve. So it's a privacy law for sure, tailored for India's specific digital and socio-economic landscape. It's pragmatic, it's risk-based. But should it be treated as a ceiling for compliance or not? That's a question we need to ponder about. And that's not the game anymore. Now, if you are a company who aspires to go global and participate in the global digital economy, even if you are remotely global, like you're providing SaaS services, for example, to a Europe-based company, or you are doing outsourcing work for a US-based company, then limiting yourself to DPDPA alone would be like, I'll build the code, but I'll not adhere to the best practices that is being followed by the global organization. So you are legal, you're compliant, but are you actually resilient? Are you being trusted by your customers? Are you being competitive in the market? Certainly no. Some of the pointers why we should always try to benchmark against the global norms, DPDPA being the golden rule of data privacy. Firstly, it increases your credibility across the markets. Since you aspire to go global, GDPR is already the gold standard that has been set. So try to be compliant with the policies that are in sync with GDPR, in sync with the global norms that is being followed. Even in jurisdictions where the law hasn't caught up yet, let's try to build in policies. Like UAE does not have a data privacy policy, but again, they're in the process of creating a policy which strictly aligns with the objectives provided by GDPR. Secondly, regulatory agility. So data privacy norms, data privacy laws are evolving really fast. As the technology is evolving, data privacy laws are also evolving. So building your privacy program to global standards will definitely save you time, get you covered from the risk perspective, and prevent any kind of rework that needs to be done later as the law evolves. Thirdly, the important advantage of aligning to the global standards and global norms is being deal ready, and the due diligence and creating a trust amongst your partners, amongst the stakeholders, amongst your customers, even the regulators for that matter. So having said that, I'm not advocating that we should copy-paste the GDPR into the DPDP or something on those lines. But yes, considering our readiness, our infrastructure and everything, the smart move is to calibrate our policies, our principles to the principles that are embodied within the GDPR. So to answer the question directly, Rajiv, yes, Indian companies should comply with DPDPA, which is non-negotiable. But at the same time, if the companies are serious about scaling their business, going cross-border operations and creating long-term trust amongst their stakeholders, amongst their customers and other regulators, I think DPDPA should be the floor and not the ceiling. Because global practice is where the real strategic advantage of a company would lie.
Thank you so much. Any thoughts over, anyone can answer on that, is DPDP Act is foolproof or still it has to be worked a lot over it?
Certainly not, certainly not. Because it's too basic and it has to address the challenges of the newer technologies. Simple like, cookie consent, if you see, even in the UK, like, you have a very separate law for that, for the cookie consent. That's the kind of sophistication we should look at. But anyway, at least let's have the rules at least.
So I think it's a start. It will evolve with the experiences, with the kind of issues that corporates and data principals will face in the coming years or months or whatever. I think 4 very key steps that every organization should start implementing is: first, identify a data protection officer internally, externally, and do that thing first. Second, existing third-party contracts should be revised. Make it in line with the DPDP obligations, requirements, data retention clauses, audit rights, inspection rights. Make it and the indemnifications with respect to data breach if happens at the third parties ecosystem. And third thing is the consent mechanism. I think that is the most important thing that will be applicable here. Though they are saying deemed consent, but I think all organizations should start taking explicit consent. I think that is the best thing. Maintain consent logs and preparedness for any breach that happens. The response, the timelines that you need to follow. Certain you will have to do reportings and all, and wherever there are other entities who are regulated by say RBI, ID or SEBI, etc., they have their own set of regulations which needs to be followed. So for example, if a customer needs to share his information with any lending institution, see on a mobile app or on a website, if an application is being made, you get the KYC data, you get the name, mobile number, PAN, address of the customer. And you need to take consent on each and every aspect that you will use that data for. For example, if you are going to do Aadhaar check, for that you need a separate consent. If you are going to do mobile access, for that you need a separate consent. If you need transactional messages access, that you need to have a separate consent. If you're going to share that data with a third party, for that also you need to have a separate consent. If you're going to use that data to sell or do cross-sell of other products, for that also you need a separate consent. It has to be a specific consent and not an optional one. कि पहले से yes डाला होगा उसमें वैसा वाला नहीं. So that is already there for lending institution and for certain financial institutions.
So we were discussing about cyber breaches, and especially with the technology of AI and quantum computing. I feel that quantum computing आने के बाद अनुराग तो जितना हमारे safety procedures हैं वो तो कहीं रह ही नहीं जाएंगे. Is it not right? And first practical part from you, and from Jyothe I would like to hear what legal measures we can take to handle AI and quantum risk. First I would like to ask Anurag, मेरा जो है आपका जो मेरा डर है एक्चुअली कोई क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग आने के बाद क्या होने वाला है वो तो आप थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन भी कर सकते हैं इफ यू कैन टेक्निकली एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग हाउ डिफिकल्ट इट इज टू हैंडल इफ वो प्रैक्टिकल में आ रही है तो
So quantums, when we talk about quantums, they are small bits of processes that we are using. So उसको quantum computing के अंदर या उससे हमारी complexity बढ़ेगी. Yes, हमारे पास attacks और severe हो सकते हैं because we are getting parallelism basically. Multiple processes are running together and the power is increasing because every single time, every quantum, it works just like an AI model. Every single yes or the right step gives you an extra point and every single no gives you a negative point. So
they are using qubits, right?
Yes.
They are not binary.
Yeah, they are using qubits, but in that there is a function which you call as the incremental growth, which happens based on the right and wrongs, how many rights you are happening and how many wrongs they are conducting. So every right and wrong they give you pointers. So based on that functions are growing. Not going very deep, but if you think about quantum being used, the very first thing is cracking the cryptographies. If I want to use quantum, the very first thing I would do is again thinking about LG Electronics. So if I want to if I want to go there and do something, I would just go on the reception, ask them that I want to meet Rajiv sir. He said, boss, he is in a meeting. You have come without an appointment. It will take him around an hour to come to you. I said, perfect. Can I sit somewhere on your reception? He said, okay, you can go in the guest room and you can just wait over there. Now there are multiple ways I can proceed ahead. The very first thing is, that is very rare. I should not quote that, but if some company is doing that, if you are providing them free internet of your system, that is very vague. You should not do that. If you have exposed LAN cables in your guest room, that is also should not be happening. But if that is there, the very first entry point is there. If let's say nothing is there, if you have a foolproof guest room which has nothing but tea and coffee only for me, so I would do is there are systems, there are integrators that I can use, and I would just sit there and keep on tracking, and all the communications are happening on Wi-Fi. So there are those TP-Link routers that I can use, and I can keep noting down, I can keep recording all the data that is flowing through that guest room. I would keep doing that for an hour. So that would be GBs and petabytes of data that I can gather in that duration, depending on the organization. I do not have any access. But quantum plays a role when I go back home, take that hard drive and try to break that configuration. It is at that place that quantum would help me, because the cryptographies which we are not looking at these days as very crucial or very helpful कि यार कौन ही break करेगा, HTTP use कर रहा हूँ मैं. अच्छा, again a question for the audience. If I go on a website, okay, I go on a website and I look at that website, I'm going on a banking website, it is httpsbank.com. Is it secure? Can you be hacked or not? Yes or no? Yes, you can be hacked. No, you cannot be hacked. No. You are using HTTPS. We look at that.
तो जनरल पार्लेंस में तो यही होता है कि एस लगा हुआ है तो ठीक है,
सिक्योर्ड है ना, यही चलता है. HTTPS है तो सिक्योर्ड है. तो बट HTTPS सिक्योरिटी नहीं देता आपकी वेबसाइट को. Google, Facebook, सब companies having HTTPS, they were also breached. So the security comes in the inner layers. वो तो सिर्फ आपकी ट्रांसपोर्ट सिक्योरिटी दे रहा है. यहाँ से पैकेज मैं आप तक भेजूंगा तो वो पैकेट लॉक होके जाएगा, बस इतना ही कर रहा है वो.
एनक्रिप्टेड होगा.
एनक्रिप्टेड होगा. अब मैंने वो पैकेज भी खोल लिया तो अंदर का तो सब.
बट क्वांटम के साथ इट्स वेरी इजी टू ओपन इट.
एग्जैक्टली.
स्पीड बहुत ज़्यादा है.
क्वांटम helps me open those boxes very easily,
fast.
Very fast.
Yes.
And that's why the quantum, the role is of course in the area where they can intercept and they can break.
तो ज्योति लीगली क्या कर सकते हैं?
Yeah, so, no, he has scared the audience sufficiently enough. But yeah, precisely, that's the point, to understand, like, he's talking about quantum computing. Quantum computing computers are not the same as classical computers or the traditional computers. Right. They don't work on the binary system anymore. And their computation rate is much, much higher than what the classical computers do. They can solve much more complicated problems which traditional or the classical computers can't even solve. So with that being the case, then we see that the threat is so imminent when it comes to cybersecurity, because today we are all relying on encryptions, and today if WhatsApp tells us your message is encrypted, I feel so safe. And another system, we say that, oh, we have a great encryption tool, people will feel safe. But when quantum computing is already on its way, it's already a $1.2 billion market, already. And they are going to be touching about 5.7 in just about 3-4 years, with all IBM, Googles of the world already investing heavily on quantum computing. So, and if that comes, these encryption tools, all that can be broken so easily by them. Right. But now when it comes to legal, what becomes very important is to understand technologies, right? Very interesting things today the AI is doing is, I know I might be deviating with this example. I'm sure you'd have heard of that, GPT-4 in IKEA's environment. It tricks an employee. So you see, generally when you try to enter any system or a software, you always get that captcha puzzle, right? The human, we then say, are you a robot? We say no. Then it will give you some pictures, say identify a bicycle here, blah blah. Then it is proven that you are not a robot, and then it goes ahead. All right? These are simple tools to see that robots are not being involved, right? Now here the ChatGPT-4, they can't solve it because it's a robot. It's a software, right? And are you robots? It says no. And then it says I am a visually impaired person, and I need help in resolving this puzzle. So a human being is tricked into solving a puzzle for ChatGPT-4, and finally ChatGPT has its way through. So this is, we are talking about the human level fraudulent activities. But then we also saw in IKEA's platform, in brand Yum, they were all AI powered. Botnet attacks, DDoS attacks, all of them were AI powered. And leading to breakdown of systems for 6 to 7 weeks in the UK. And then we saw IKEA's 3.7 million records were leaked and all of that. So what does it all say? All this data is screaming and telling the team, in-house teams, that it's so important, critical for us to understand technologies. We should not even wait for the IT guy to come and tell us what is this technology about. Let's understand the technologies ahead of time. It's okay. It's even if it is general knowledge, you may not use it. It's important to understand. That is only when you will be able to know when it is being implemented, because you know how fast it can be embraced by the organization. It will be before you really take about a couple of weeks' time, who knows, the CIO would have already started implementing it. So then that is when your skills in terms of understanding it, and where are the risks attached, how does this even technology work, where are the risks, how do we contain these risks, and do we have to have appropriate agreements with the service providers, or do we need to have certain training programs within the organizations in order to enhance the digital awareness. All of this will fall in when we have the knowledge. So I believe that, the role of legal is not anymore just a legal role where I just sit and write a policy sitting on my desk. I think I should be actually sitting next to the IT person and, actually understanding very closely and then drafting the policies and all, which I think he appreciates it better than I thinking that, oh, it's so wonderfully worded, it doesn't work like that. So I believe it's a more techno-legal responsibility.
Yes, techno-legal. So universities के अंदर भी I think specialized courses चलेंगे जिसके अंदर either law universities के अंदर is mandatory now because that's why our role is getting changed now, right? So technology is going to take it over. And yeah, Anurag, you are saying something?
Yeah, just a comic example that I remember is there was a person in my organization and he came to me and he said, Anurag, I just checked, my password is not leaked anywhere. I said, brilliant, how did you get to know that? So he said, there's a website on where you put your password and they mail you the result on your email. I said, good, go and change it now. It is leaked now. So the similar training that we are expecting.
But we are talking about the AI and everything is there, right? Because AI is getting useful for handling these issues, right? But AI also is having that algorithm biases are there, and the data poisoning issues are there. And of course, we are talking about ethical hacking. So any suggestions from all of you, any of you, that what business should do? What exactly business should do about it? Any?
AI should be used very diligently and not with heavy dependency. I think teams working in the legal and compliance or any function should, I think there has to be strict restrictions within an organization on usage of chat GPT because that is a very vulnerable system. And there are a lot of restrictions that are required to be built. I think and you have to scare people. I think most of us or all of us डर से ही हम लोग सीखते हैं यहाँ पे problem वो है but डराना ही पड़ेगा कि ये हो. I want to know how many of you know the difference between sensitive data and personal data. What is sensitive data? And how regularly you share it wherever you go or wherever you travel. Can anyone give a few examples of sensitive data that any one of you have shared or you consider it as personal data? Anyone? Bolo.
Share our Aadhaar numbers whenever we check into a hotel. That is sensitive data because with our Aadhaar card or Aadhaar number, our phone number and address, other things are associated as well. So I would consider that as sensitive data.
Whenever you enter any hotel, if anyone asks you, or any place where Aadhaar is asked, that entity must be registered with Aadhaar or UIDAI to accept Aadhaar. You have to ask that question first, whether they are authorized to take Aadhaar. Otherwise, you have so many other ID proofs which you can share. Though Aadhaar data is anyways leaked in and is available all over, that's a different point, but still. Second is your mobile number. I think that is the most important data which we share it everywhere. Whenever we enter any office premises, whenever we go for any client visit, etc., stop sharing it. Do not share it. वहाँ पे भी ID proof मत दो. जो झगड़ा करना है रेस्टोरेंट्स में भी हम देते हैं हमारे मोबाइल नंबर को, वहाँ पे भी मत दो. So ये सब basics, these are all basics. These are those avenues from where data leakage happens. और जब इतने बड़े बड़े ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के डेटा इकोसिस्टम इतने वीक है तो रेस्टोरेंट को तो क्या ही होगा, मतलब we have to be very, very careful. So, and AI, there is no regulation anywhere. So I think we need to diligently use it. We need to be very, very thoughtful about what kind of information are we sharing when we are asking any question from AI. We should not share, private, confidential information when we are asking any query or we are seeking any response through AI. That's important. So, हमारा as legal fraternity, our role. I think most of us, हमारे fraternity के लोग ही सबसे ज़्यादा AI use कर रहे हैं. Problem वो है अभी.
तो श्रीजीत, अब हम बात कर रहे हैं DPDP की. So more or less we generally understand it's a checkbox check tick exercise, right? ऐसे ही रहता है. Yeah, do you have any other?
Yeah, I mean, if we consider compliance with either DPDPA or for that matter any kind of privacy laws as just a checklist exercise, then we've already missed the point. That's not the point. I think the requirement is to have a cultural shift. It's not a checkbox exercise. You are compliant today. Possibly, if you continue to be to treat DPDPA compliance or data privacy laws compliance as a checklist exercise, you will probably be non-compliant in the days to come, because the law is evolving, and you need greater participation from all the stakeholders within an organization. It's not just the legal's job or the DPO's job to ensure privacy laws compliance or to ensure that data privacy policies are in place. We might help in writing down the policies, but at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of even the top leadership of an organization to ensure that those policies are complied with by heart throughout the organizations. They are adopted throughout the organization as a guiding principle, as a Bible for ensuring data privacy. So I think a short, crisp answer would be we would need a mindset change, a cultural shift to ensure that data privacy is everybody's responsibility and not just a specific handful of people, in order to make an organization protective from the risk perspective, in terms of data breaches and things like that.
So it's a top-down approach, it is required.
Absolutely,
and the data governance should be discussed at the board of directors meeting.
Absolutely.
And we have
right
to take
from
up
the board to the junior most new entrant in an organization, everybody must be a participant in the privacy.
So we should tell the management that the short-term, we should not look into the short-term profits.
Absolutely.
It's not the cost center which we are talking about. It's the investment which we are doing in safeguarding.
Absolutely.
क्योंकि जो breaches होंगे उनका 250 crore, 1,000 crores, I don't know the कितना impact रहेगा.
And also a vendors.
Awareness.
And also a vendors.
Third party
outsourced
supplier, vendors also, wherever we are doing it. So before we end this
corporate ecosystem and the vendors ecosystem has to be same security ecosystem. It cannot be different.
Yes. So before we end the session, we would like to take the questions, and then I will come to you all for what are the best practices we can do. For example, the cross-functional we have to discuss, or anything you would like to give some practical tips to the audiences after the question answer session. If anybody is having any questions. मतलब सेशन इतना अच्छा था कि क्वेश्चन नहीं है, कि क्वेश्चन समझ ही नहीं आया, टॉपिक अच्छा नहीं है.
So I told you कि physically कहीं data share नहीं करना है, online कहीं share नहीं करना है, कोई पूछ ही नहीं रहा है. आप ads को click करते हो ना, that is also, you stop doing that on your social media profiles, right, Mr. Anurag?
But do you think that it is practically possible?
You should not click ads. आपको कोई भी ऑफर आती है ना इंस्टा पे या फिर ट्विटर पे या फिर फेसबुक पे या फिर व्हाटएवर सोशल मीडिया प्रोफाइल वी आर करंटली यूजिंग, डू नॉट क्लिक ऑन एनी एड. स्टॉप डूइंग इट. पर्सनल लाइफ यस, आई एम सर्वाइविंग. आई एम नॉट शेयरिंग माई डेटा एनीवेयर. मेरे को रेस्टोरेंट में पॉपटेट्स में जाना हो, कहीं पे भी जाना हो, मेरे को मोबाइल नंबर पूछते हैं, well, I am not going to share. बैंक इज़ फाइन. बैंक यू हैव नो ऑप्शन. बैंक में तो आपको KYC नहीं होगा. मैं इसके लिए पहले बताया. सो व्हेन यू आर शेयरिंग इट विद द इंस्टीट्यूशन, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू आर टेकिंग अ लोन और इफ यू आर ओपनिंग एन अकाउंट, you should know and you should know what kind of consents you are giving to that institution. You should not put it on that sales guy who is coming and telling कि सर आप अपना साइन कर दो, मैं सब भर दूंगा बाकी का. Or if you are filling the form online, these days it is online, you should fill it on your own. All consent should be given by you on your own. जहाँ पे नो देना है वहाँ पे नो दीजिए, बिकॉज वहाँ पे हर जगह पे ऐसे ही रहेगा. मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको, कितना भी बड़ा बैंक रहे, कितना भी बड़ा इंस्टीट्यूशन रहे, the auto thing is the auto option is yes. So we should wherever we see. अब हम क्या करते हैं, हम मेरे को प्रमोशनल मटेरियल चाहिए, मेरे को मार्केटिंग मटेरियल चाहिए, उस पर भी हम टिक मारते हैं. You when you sign anything there is a declaration that you give and the rights that you give. So you have to read it properly. हम वो वाला रीड कर लेते हैं कि हाँ एवरी इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट आई एम शेयरिंग इज़ ट्रू एंड फैक्चुअल. सेकेंड वाला रहता है कि हम यू आर ऑल्सो गिविंग अस द राइट टू शेयर योर डेटा फॉर और शेयर यू send you any marketing or promotional material. उसको टिक मत कीजिए, क्या करना है आपने? We don't need it. हम 10%, 20%, 5%, 2%, 200 पॉइंट, 100 पॉइंट के लिए अपना डेटा डाल रहे हैं, which is very very expensive. We should not do it.
Does
Why laws are not coming wherein people should be asked not to collect such data? See, you are cautioning us not to share, but then why the ecosystem is not built where such data should not be asked, should be prohibited?
No, that's the DPDP law about, right? So when it
DPDP
is implemented, it is what
DPDP will
going to
help. That's the act that is coming. That's the rule that is coming. Which whenever it comes,
Yeah.
when an individual or wo bhi, that is only for digital data. It is not for physical data. So that's the differentiation. So digital data, whenever we are sharing, that is where the consent mechanism is being asked to ensure. वो consent manager एक concept है. Consent manager का eligibility criteria is also mentioned in the rules. So all these things are there. It will come. It will get enforced or not. That's a separate issue. But I think, what is the harm in being self-aware and being self-cautious or being cautious? I think that's the first step that every individual has to take. हम हर बार बोलते हैं कि वो let the other person be honest or let the other person start doing it. I'll do it later. Why can't I start it? Why can't I start being cautious at the first place? And I think that's the most important thing. Then everyone will be cautious.
And
there are rules that are coming. It is enforced also. For example, I'll give you example of for lending institutions, whether it is a bank or a NBFC. I have seen RBI coming very heavily on institutions which are not taking proper consent on accessing data of any customer. They are levying heavy penalties. 25 lakh is the minimum penalty that I have seen on bigger banks, private banks, or even smaller on bigger NBFCs also. So regulators are taking action, and it is a very serious issue. And right from the top government official till the each regulator, everyone is serious. So everyone is very very serious about it. It's not that we have to get serious. It's there. I hope I have answered. I know it's very difficult, but we'll have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Is there any other question? So now you can give us the practical tips, very short, very crisp, and especially the risk of to the businesses or the unknowns also.
I think we can begin from there.
All right. So I think again I would like to emphasize, the importance of awareness, and starting from, like Srijit just touched upon, senior leadership, the board, their understanding of the technologies was equally important, because gone are the days when you would just give those authorization letters, power of attorney, and expect the person to adhere to the powers authorized. But the technologies, these are so very tricky that even if you write things in your POA or policies, unless the organization, the senior leadership really understand where our risks are, it's pretty dangerous for the organization and for them too at their personal level to just authorize somebody to just go ahead and invest on buying certain tools. So I guess that's key.
Yes.
So just to add to what you said, train each and every employee of the organization. That is the major source of leakage. That is the major source of leakage of confidential information and breach that happens. So make each and every employee aware of the importance of data privacy, data protection, and whatnot that we have in the policies that is been adopted by any organization. I think if you are, and train them, give them training, do phishing exercises, make them aware of what is data protection, and signed confidentiality agreements in the appointment letters that is being signed by with each employee. I think that is very important. And code of conduct ko aur strengthen karo. Termination is the solution to scare them actually. That's what make people follow rules.
You are a consultant. That's why you have advised just like a consultant. Thank you so much.
Even when I was a general counsel, I used to do that.
Very quickly, just understand the importance and the value of your own data. try to educate yourself and be aware of what your rights are under the data privacy laws. Try to enforce it against the entity or against the organization that is actually processing or handling your data. I think with this awareness, definitely we would aspire and we would definitely reach a position where the global economies are or the global organizations are working in.
So from organization's perspective, it's the opposite. That they should know कि ऐसे customer ऐसा आ सकता है.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
The organization should know that the data subjects are now aware of
Now
their
aware
rights.
of their rights. Yes.
Okay, so closing remarks. I would just say that stop trusting blindly. If you are, a very basic thing, if you're going, how many of you have gone to AI, any of your AI that is on your phone, WhatsApp or anywhere, how many of you have gone on the AI and asked कि यार मुझे जुखाम है उसके लिए क्या लेना चाहिए या I am buying this new laptop, what is the right configuration, I am going to this place, what are the reviews, anything, any questions that you're asking, don't make it the next Wikipedia. How many of you trusted the Wikipedia blindly? कि यार ये fact Wikipedia पे पढ़ा हुआ है, right? Don't make AI the next Wikipedia. It is not. It is taking the information. You can poison that information. If you do that, just check the sources of it. You don't know where it is fetching those informations from. It can be malicious. We have done that. We have done data poisoning attacks a lot many times. Even with your ChatGPT or Meta is AI and every other engine, we have tried that. And I do that. Means I go to global conferences, I show them live how you can poison that data. And you can supply that. I can target an organization, I can supply that data. So don't trust blindly. Always check the sources from where you are getting that data from and whether those sources are legitimate or not. That is
I think I'd
my
like to
closing
end
remarks.
with a very humorous thing because very recently I came to know OpenAI posted this one of the funniest questions posted on ChatGPT. Somebody asked ChatGPT, this question, fix my life. So please don't go for such questions. Thank you.
I'll tell you the most funniest one. मेरे घर में lizard आया है, उसको मेरे को भगाना है तो क्या करना चाहिए मैंने? इससे funniest क्या हो सकता है? ये भी डाला हुआ है लोगों ने.
So let me now end with the poetic end of this session with a small poem of the 1 minute, right? So this poem is based on these topics only. In the quiet chaos of the coded delight, we chase bold shadows in data bright light, a wise dilemma, a silent shout, where algorithms whisper yet scream doubt. Securely scattered, I'm talking of cloud storage, securely scattered our secrets lie under watchful clouds in a crystal sky, a fragile fortress, a dynamic pause, where breaches bloom without a cause. From passwords past to quantum quests, we walk in wires in the cyber west. Known unknowns knock on the legal door, while truthful tricks shake us to the core. Truthful tricks means deep fakes. Biased bots and poisoned streams fuel flawed precision and broken dreams. AI may learn, but can it feel? Can codes of steel help human heal? So here we stand with fire and frost. Frost means the situation in this, the cold risk is there. Balancing gain against what's lost, the law must lead, yet learn to bend. For every breach has a legal end. Let's dive beyond checklist and rules and challenge conventions, not just tools, for governance. For governance isn't just a compliance art, it's culture, courage and conscious heart. It's culture, courage and conscious heart. Thank you so much for having patience, for having us. Thank you so much.